This is the new Tarnished camo that was added in Modern Warfare 2 Season 4 Reloaded, and today we're going to show you how to unlock it. This is the new Easter egg camo in Modern Warfare 2's Raid Episode 4, and it's a pretty straightforward one, and once you get all the pieces of the puzzle, I'd say it's actually probably one of the easier ones we've had so far. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below on what you think of the Tarnished camo firstly in Modern Warfare 2 Season 4 Reloaded, as well, what do you think of the Easter egg questline? Do you think it's easier, harder, are you going to go for it? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you'll find it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. As well, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, Season 4 Reloaded guides and updates, leaks, and all that, plus other FPS content like X-Defiant coverage. I'd love to have in the community if you'd like to join. And finally, check out my friends over at G Fuel for 30% off your order with code ESPRESSO on things like the tubs of Hype Sauce, MS Melon, and Hibiscus Tea, as well as starter packs linked below. But that said, let's jump into the guide. So first things first, this starts out as expect at the very beginning, so it is possible and easy to miss the trigger for this Easter egg. During the blindfold maze, you have to first get past that initial laser, and then as you get to the stairwell, instead of going up it, you're actually going to fall down the stairs. Normally, this may be concerning since a guard spawns in while you're on the stairs, but his spawn isn't triggered until you get to the story above the entrance, or so it seems. Honestly, I haven't stuck around long enough to see if it's a timed thing or not, but that said, once you cross that threshold into the stairwell, slightly shift right, then drop down to the level below that. Doing so initially will spawn a conversation on the other side of that guard's door, to which you'll hear a 3-digit code granted to you. So far, I'm just about convinced that it's always going to have the number 5 in it for reasons we'll get to in a second, but note the 3-digit code down because that's the key for the rest of the quest. A fair warning, this code will change every single raid boot, but you can start the overall raid again if you die later on down the line and say the maze or something and you lose what you need to be holding. Restarting in-game will spawn the same sequence it seems like, or so it has for my crew about a dozen times or so that we attempted this, but backing out to the menu and full rebooting spawns a new sequence. Anyways, the next step comes right after 141 breaks out of their cells. Just past the point where you can pick up your loadouts, you have that long corridor of trucks and all the booby traps with AI enemy pushing you. Clear that out, but then do not move on just yet. Once you clear that hallway, you'll be able to look around and notice that you have cut out side rooms, of which the main ones are labeled 1 through 5. If that sounds familiar, you'd assume right because you're on the right track. Now go to each of these rooms in the order that your sequence was given. So for the run through and what we'll showcase here in this video, our successful run through sequence was 5, 3, 2. You need to go to those rooms in order and look for what looks to be a power switch. Make sure you're in the right order because you can only flip these switches once, and if you mess up the sequence, you have to restart all over again, which grand scheme isn't too bad since you're like 5 minutes in at this point, but still, no one wants to have to do that. Flip those switches in order and you'll get the prompt that says you unlocked something. Next, you're going to move on to the laser platforming puzzles, and this one's almost missable, but after you complete that first laser platform puzzle, we have to take out that guard in the center control room, jump onto some scaffolding to unlock the door, and then disable the lasers. You don't want to move on just yet to the puzzle up and into the next part of the corridor. Instead, you might notice there's still a side room that's barred off by more lasers. For this, you'll have to jump from the scaffolding into the laser pit or that sort of hallway that's sectioned off, go through the door and time it right so that you can avoid the lasers in the side room, and then turn those off on the wall opposite of you. There you'll find a very crucial unlabeled keycard sitting on a table at that further side wall. This is the item that you have to hold onto your person in order to even interact with the next and final step. However, the nice part about this raid and Easter egg in particular is that for the first time in any of these Easter eggs we've seen in the raids, you actually don't have to do it flawless up until you get to the maze, meaning that you, or rather your squad, can die in these laser explosions that could happen in the next 2 stages. Pretty sure that if you do personally bleed out and you're holding on to that, you will indeed lose that unlabeled keycard, which then prompts you to have to restart the whole thing. But the nice part is that you don't have to have perfect precision with a laser puzzles, at least. When someone trips them, the whole tunnel explodes, right? Normally, if you and your team were to full die in, say, raid 2 or 3, you'd lose that unlabeled keycard. But in this, you can explode as much as you like and still hold on to that, again, unless you end up getting downed by an enemy after that laser portion or in the maze itself. So once you get to the maze, that's where you have to be super careful, and that's where the final piece of this puzzle is. So let's talk about this maze because there's a few parts that seem to be like intentionally misleading, but once you figure it out, it's really easy. The first thought was that, okay, we're gonna have to do something with any of the other 4 bunker entrances around this sort of Koshi complex kind of chemical plant maze. Turns out those don't do anything. They're just there for aesthetic. The bunker opposite wherever the nuclear core spawns also does nothing, even if you have a key card. So what in the world are you looking for? The only other stuff that really stood out as interesting or different was that we saw a couple of different valves within this maze that if you had the unlabeled key card, you could interact with or turn certain valves. If you did not, you couldn't. And the interesting part is that they were also numbered. So that was something that we kind of thought about, and we found 1 through 4, but there was no 5, which of course with a 5-digit code, we either were missing a valve or it was something that we were missing a different code sequence. This was the part that had stumped us. My team had half the idea right, thinking that, okay, maybe you need to turn it at the same time as the valve in the control room here, where the player guiding the other 2 through the maze had access to that one. We kind of had that right, but not in the right context. That's where my team ended up giving up for the night. We came back yesterday afternoon, and YouTuber Paris Do Not Face Me and his crew actually figured this last part out. So big shout out to them. Link in the description below if you guys want to show them some love. But it is correct. In the maze, there only is 4 different valves that you can end up interacting with if you have this unlabeled keycard. On screen, you'll see a map here of where those are so that you can go to it. They are located at dead ends along this maze here, so that, fingers crossed, you can interact with them without the Juggernaut seeing you or walking by to aggro onto you. But that 5th one was still eluding us. However, the 5th is actually the one in the control room, unnamed and unmarked, so you only ever need 1 through 4, because it seems like 5 is always going to be that first number, or again, so it seems through about a dozen run-throughs here of this, hunting throughout the last 36 hours for this. Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure if it's just simply the code sequence in order, so that 5 always is the starter here, and you only have to hit the 2 in sequential order after that, because 5 gets you past the initial fire to go into the maze, or if you have to hit them all at the same time. My squad did both, but upon doing so, we didn't get any sort of audio cue that said we opened up something else. However, if you do it correctly, you should end up unlocking a little like gated off storage room near bunker 5. So one of those bunkers that, again, we just mentioned you couldn't access via keycard itself, but in the storage room, there's a new keypad for the keycard, the unlabeled keycard in particular, where that will open up bunker 5. And from there, all you have to do, go in, pick up the weapon itself, and then you unlock the camo for your account entirely. Then, beyond that, it's up to you. If you want to complete the rest of the raid, you absolutely can, but it's also not necessary. We ended up finding this out by accident. One of my squad ended up DCing, and then we actually couldn't even complete the rest of the raid, so we just backed out. And lo and behold, we all 3 had that camo unlocked. So it's not imperative to complete the rest of the raid. I'd suggest doing it just in case it does bug out. Raid episode 4 seems to be problematic with the rewards that are granted and crediting to your account. So especially now, I'd recommend doing it. You can die in the maze after you pick up that weapon and unlock it. But also beyond that, all you have to do is just chase down Hadir and finish one final wave of Juggernauts, and then you finish the raid anyway. So it's close to the end. But anyways, that's how you end up getting this new Tarnished camo and completing the Easter egg here for Modern Warfare 2 Raid Episode 4. Now, whether or not this is important or not, it could just be something for fun, but maybe Season 5 brings a sort of super Easter egg here, where it's definitely nice to do this, not only for the rewards, but also the prospect of, okay, maybe this helps you out later on down the line as well. We have no idea. That's speculation right now that has been rumored. We'll have to wait and see. If you want to do it though, at the very least, you get a camo alongside it that not many people will have. But that said, that is how to complete the Easter egg in Raid Episode 4, and we're going to call it. So let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys going to attempt to go for this Easter egg completion for yourself? Do you not care so much? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. As well, before we end the video, make sure to check out my friends over at G Fuel for 30% off certain items with the code espresso in the month of July. Things like hype sauce, MS melon, hibiscus tea, and other tubs, as well as starter kits. So if you guys want to pick something up, grab a restock, or try G Fuel for the very first time, now is as best a time as any. Link in the description below, and again, use code espresso if interested, but only if you want. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. You found it at all insightful, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, X-Defiant, and other FPS content here in the future. I'd love to have you, but for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine's been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.